Hello, everybody. We're going to get started here in just a moment with Lisa Laird Dunn. Pretty excited about this national treasure, America's oldest distillery. So she will be joining us soon. Hope everyone's having a great day out there. Nothing like a little bit of apple brandy to start your day. You should hopefully joining in just a second or two. Nothing like a good day of apple brandy to get the juices flowing, to get the brain working. Well, hello. And away we go, y'all. Looks like we'll be getting this party started in just 1 second. Awesome.
Hello.
Hey, how are you?
Good. How are you? Let me get the volume up here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, trying to figure this out.
Took a break from playing video games, I guess. That's why you have that headset on. And then later.
No, actually, my husband gave it to me, and I have no idea what I'm doing with it.
I love it. I love it. Well, very good. First, I just want to say thank you. It's sort of like talking to royalty in our industry. I mean, just your family's legacy of distillation and everything y'all done here. It's pretty cool. I have to admit, I'm not going to try to fanboy crush too hard or anything like that. But such a pleasure to have you on today. We really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you about your products.
Well, thank you. I really appreciate you having me on. You know, I'm looking forward to it. This is my first Instagram Live, so let's hope I do pretty good with it.
Great. That's great. Yeah, so just right out of the gates, I just have to ask, what is it like being America's oldest distillery?
It's pretty damn cool, actually, when you think about it. It was my 7 greats grandfather, William Laird, that started this whole endeavor, back in the late 1600s. And, the fact that the family has managed to keep his dream alive, to continue his passion, and the company is still owned and operated by the Laird family now for 10 generations. So it's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. As just a fan, I think it's pretty cool too that I get a chance to talk with you and enjoy your products. A funny, or not really funny, but an interesting little note that Earl pointed out to me. Y'all were the second company to work with Empire way back when our company started. Y'all were our second supplier to decide, we're going to work with those guys down there in Georgia. So there's a very, very long relationship indeed, just between Laird's and Empire, as well as your family and distillation and kind of helping to settle America a little bit. We could throw that in there.
Yeah, well, absolutely, because, post-Prohibition, we've been partners since then. So that's pretty cool, and it's been a great partnership, and looking forward to another, how many years has it been? So let's keep this going.
Yeah, it was since 37, I think. So, yeah, it's been a little bit. It's been a hot minute. I guess. So with Applejack, what's the family philosophy behind making this incredible apple brandy?
Well, first and foremost, our philosophy is to preserve the history and the integrity of Applejack overall, along with the family's heritage in relation to the production of this product historically. So it's very important to us to preserve that history and the quality of the product. It's for us to uphold the quality of the product is top priority. It's been a family-run business We now have 3 generations that are here working together, 8th,
Wow.
9th, and 10th, which is kind of phenomenal in itself, having 3 generations of the same family working together, which obviously can be a little hairy at times. You know, everybody has their different opinions, and I'm kind of in the middle between the old generation and the younger generation coming in with all the new great ideas. But it's wonderful that we have that that continuation. And then also, by being a family business, we only answer to ourselves. We don't have anybody looking over our shoulder, demanding a bottom line and more profit. And you know, money is not our end game. Obviously, you know, we're comfortable, but you know, we could sell the brand, sell the company, and be very well off for the rest of our lives. But you know, I'm sure as hell not going to be the generation that's going to end this this legacy that we've had for close to 300 years. So our philosophy is to the quality of the product, which is the most important aspect of our company, because what's in the bottle, the juice, is so important to us, and that helps us to preserve the history and the integrity of the product as we move forward.
So cool, so cool. And again, the 1600s. I mean, how many American businesses have operated that long? It's, you know, anytime someone, you know, that there's a home in my neighborhood that is this historic home built in 1917, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, that's not that old, but that's cool. But for a family business to be around for that long, that's just really amazing. And the fact that y'all are independent and not having to answer to anyone is just really, really something else.
Yeah, we are the oldest family of distillers. For family businesses, I think we're the 11th.
Wow.
Basically, it's farms and funeral homes that are older than us here in the U.S. And Applejack is the oldest native distilled spirit. We predate bourbon.
Yeah, wild, just wild. I love it so much. So let's talk about the process of making Applejack. Now, the old way of making a hard cider and just letting it freeze up and jacking away the ice so that we would have a stronger amount of alcohol for cold nights in the 1600s or beautiful days in the 1600s, to the process now. Can you kind of walk us through? Y'all receive the apples, and then what happens?
Okay, well, you know, actually, as in the late 1600s, there were stills here in the U.S. and actually being produced here as early as 1700 in Baltimore and Boston. So distilling was here as well as the jacking. Mostly it was the farmers that were producing their own supply and so forth were doing the actual jacking or freeze distillation. But so pretty much our family's always been distilling since we immigrated from Scotland, producing scotch and distilling over there, and brought our expertise over here. But it all starts with the apple right here, fresh apples. We only use fresh apples. We never purchase juice, fermented or unfermented, from anyone. So we take those fresh apples and we grind and press them all ourselves, which is a very labor-intensive production in itself. And then we take that fresh cider, we ferment it. Takes anywhere, depending on the weather, the colder it is, it takes a little bit longer for the fermentation process. So it can be anywhere to 5 to 10 days, depending on what's going on with the weather. Then once we hit, you know, our fermentation level, or alcohol, all the sugars are converted to alcohol from the apples. We take it to our still. Now we have a proprietary still. It's a pot still with a rectifying column, which we have found we've used different stills throughout our history, obviously. We've been around so long. We found that this has produced the best brandy. And we've been using this still, I guess we've had it since the 40s. We refurbished it in the 70s. We actually just had to rebuild the pot still because that blew 2 years ago. Thankfully, nobody was hurt when it blew, but it did cause a little bit of an issue. So we still, the product, the distillate, apple brandy, comes off the still about 160 proof. We take that pure distillate, reduce it to 130, and then we age. That's our barreling aging proof is 130. and then it just rests and slumbers in our aging warehouse. We have two, one in Virginia and one in New Jersey, until it's time to produce the whatever expression we're producing at that point in time.
So cool. I'm just so excited to hear all of this. This is just so great. This is so cool. So with apples, how many apples does it take to make one bottle of Applejack?
Well, it depends on the expression. We have 8 expressions.
Fair enough.
So our blended Applejack, which I'll show you the product. This is our blended Applejack and probably the most widely distributed. This is more of a blended whiskey. I call it our apple whiskey. And it's a little bit unique because it is, the base is apple brandy versus an aged rye or corn or a malt, so forth. So it's blended with neutral grain. So it's only 35% apple brandy. This is our only product that is not 100% apples. So it's a little bit lighter in apple flavor and so forth. So it only has 6 pounds of apples. Now our straight Applejack 86, which is 100% apple brandy, it's at 86 proof. We have a little emblem here that says 17. That represents 17 pounds of apples to produce one bottle.
All right.
One 750 ml.
All right. So that's answering my question there. So that means 17 pound-sized apples to make that bottle, right?
Yes. And then our bottle and bond, it's 20 pounds.
Wow.
It's higher proof. You know, it's 100 proof versus 86 proof. So depending on the proof, the percentage of apple brandy, it increases the pounds of apples that are per bottle.
And I tell you, for that spirit, being at 100 proof, the quality of distillation on your bottled and bond, your 100 proof offering you just showed, taking 20 pounds of apples to make, that thing is ridiculously good. I mean, it's just, it's got the heat where it needs it, which I'm going to want with a strong spirit, but the flavor, the profile, the softness, it's just a really, really well-made spirit. And, you know, I'm never an advocate of drinking 100 proof spirits neat, but that one makes a pretty strong argument for it. It's a pretty magic spirit. I am a huge fan of that. And let's talk about some of your other spirits that you have. And how many apples take by pound if you have that?
Well, thank you. I appreciate your kind words about our bottled and bond, and it has become the darling of the bartending community, and because it's a perfect spirit for any split-based cocktails because it's got so much power to it, and the apple flavor comes through, but it's very soft, and it's kind of surprising when you taste it that, 100 proof, but it's pretty damn smooth.
Yeah. We have a comment here. Pardon my interruption. So,
no problem.
Hot dog is a sandwich. That is a great username, by the way. Has pointed out that a lot of their guests are surprised when they realize that whiskey is not the only bottled and bond spirit. And are you the only bottled and bond brandy in America?
I'm not aware of any other. There could be. Sure. Offhand, I am not aware, but we've been producing this product from post-prohibition, and what's kind of, you know, bottled and bond died off for many, many years, and we were probably one of the only, maybe just a handful of brands that still offered a bottled and bond. And I did a seminar at Tales of the Cocktail a few years back, and I went back through our label approvals that we have in our archives, and the label has not changed, just maybe a few semantics, you know, but since 1941. This is what the package was post-prohibition. And I've asked bartenders, should we change the package? Because my sales team are always saying, oh, we need to upgrade that package. You know, it's not good for the retail. And bartenders saying, absolutely, don't touch it. So I refuse to touch it. So
on behalf of the industry, I am so enamored just with that label. I think your packaging across the board is there's just an air about it that it really fits into the entire story. There's just something about it that's so traditional and just really, really something else.
Well, we have those historical roots, and we want to, you know, preserve that. So, you know, there's certain products that we've kept that historical look to the packaging, and some newer ones were coming more into the 20th century.
Sure, sure. Some of the new products you're offering do have that kind of edge to them, a little bit shinier maybe, attached to those who like the shiny objects of the universe. Not that I'm...
Yes.
Definitely.
Well, it's fun. It's funny. In I guess 2005, I upgraded the Laird's package, the blended Applejack because it was very, very old-fashioned. I'm not sure if I actually have a bottle behind me somewhere, but you know, my whole family, they did not like this package because it was not the historical package that we had, but it's really done wonders for the product. Sales have increased, distribution has increased, so that was one positive change I made during my tenure here. But it's, you know, we do have a tendency to hold on to our old packaging, and here, just to show you, this is a bottle from our post-prohibition, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. That's really good. Now, how old is that bottle? That's amazing.
This is, this one here is probably 1940 because, yes, because in 1940 we moved this emblem. If you notice, this emblem it's the apple and the brandy snifter, we still have on our bottle and bond in Jersey Lightning, and our bonded products, our other products have the eagle, but this was our historical. But the first packaging post-prohibition, the snifter was above the Laird's brand name. In 1940, we moved it below.
Oh, wow.
So it should be 1940-41.
Nice, nice. So there is another question just popped up. I know this is not Georgia business, but in Texas, is your apple brandy the only product available there, or are all marks available in Texas?
Are all of our expressions available in Texas?
Are expressions available in Texas?
Most of them are, yes. I know our bottled and bond is our 86, our blend. We've got the 10th generation down that way now. So yes, we are.
Great.
Most of our expressions are available down there.
Okay, very good. Just always want to try to answer questions as they come through. So
perfect.
Very
and
good.
Here's the 10th generation while I'm talking about it.
Yeah, no, this is the generation right here as you're talking about it. So I'm going to take.
Yes. So this is one of our newest products, and it's to commemorate the 10th generation joining the family business. And, you know, a little more contemporary packaging, but still retaining our historic logo with the brandy snifter. And this is, again, a bottled and bond product, but it's aged for 5 years versus 4 like our regular bottled and bond.
Right. And again, at 100 proof, and just the clarity of distillation here, this is not rough. This is not jarring. This is not punching me in the face. This is just plain enjoyable apple brandy. This is really, really, I can't stress how much I love this stuff. Sorry.
It's beautiful in a snifter or in a cocktail. Makes a great old fashioned.
Oh yeah, no, it's great on its own, but I could see that in a cocktail. A lot of different things. That fruit element, just the richness from the aging. Really, really nice. So your apple, you only use fresh apples. So where are you sourcing your apples for the apple?
All of our apples today are from Virginia. They come from the base of the Blue Ridge Mountains, Shenandoah Valley. We have primarily one orchard that we work with, another family generational business, and we, you know, a couple other small orchards as well. At one point, starting in the early 40s, we had 3 distilleries running simultaneously. Here in New Jersey, we had one in upstate New York, and also the facility in Virginia. As of the mid-1970s, we stopped all distillation in New Jersey, and that's primarily due to, you know, New Jersey has become very developed. There's not many apple orchards any longer for us to source. And just to give you an idea, and I told you how many apples are in each bottle, but for one barrel, 53-gallon barrel, at 130 proof, it takes 7,000 pounds of apples. That's a lot of raw material, and you know what we need to do is, you know, the freight alone would just make it cost prohibitive to try to continue to distill here in New Jersey.
Yeah, sure, certainly. And at the facility in Virginia or the facility in New Jersey, y'all do receive visitors there. Is that correct? People can come and visit if they would like, if they're in that neck of the woods, or how does that work?
Currently, we don't have a visiting center. We were in the process of starting the process here of a visiting center. We had the architectural plans. We were the engineers getting all the plans ready to go to town. Then obviously COVID hit, the pandemic hit, so we had to kind of pull back. So we're starting again with the plans and hopefully start construction here in 2022
Cool.
for our we have an old historical barn on the property that part of the foundation dates to the early 1700s. And we're hoping to do the same in Virginia. I mean, we do have people that'll come through and visit Danny, our master distiller, down there at times. But we're hopefully in the next couple of years, we'll be able to have everybody come visit.
How cool is that? How cool is that? So one of your products that I've always been really personally fascinated by, and there's also another question about the 10th generation. Is that something that's going to be a one-time release, or is that something you will continue to produce to honor the 10th generation?
We will continue to produce.
All right.
Yes,
All right.
It's not a one-time.
No need to hoard it unless you're just not very thirsty. Okay, very, very good. What is the 7.5-year-old brandy here? Now, this one, for years, the fact that it's aged 7.5 years, and for all of you wine geeks out there and some spirits geeks who are studying for exams or whatever, and you have to know the minimum aging 18 months, 24 months. But for an American product, it's 7.5 years. Can you tell me a little bit about that one? It's that's always kind of held some curiosity for me, and it's delicious, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of unique. We created this product in 1964, and it was to commemorate the 300th anniversary of the state of New Jersey. And there's only one reason that it's 7.5, and it really doesn't have any, difference with the product and the age, and we thought this was a perfect time. But my uncle wanted to be different. He decided instead of being 6 and 8 like everybody else, let's be 7.5 and be a little unique, and that's why we're 7.5.
That's as good a reason as any, and I
Yep.
love that to pieces. And it's talk about an agreeable brandy. This is,
this is delightful.
I've always felt just kind of hits a little bit different than the rest of your other brandies, even ones that have a longer age statement. Those always seem to be more of the Applejack. This is more in that kind of elusive brandy space. This is such a pleasure and a treat every time I get a chance to try this. Love this stuff.
It has enough age to it where you're really getting the wood notes to it, and the spice and the cooked and caramelized apples, but it's still retaining some of that brighter fruit than some of our longer aged products. And we do set aside certain distillations for this product and our 12-year-old. It's pretty much usually late season harvest apples. We find, because we use the raw material, the apples are very important. The apple bricks and the quality of the apple is utmost for the quality of our product. And there are years that we actually do not produce. We do not distill because the apple is just not suitable. It's not going to make the quality brandy that we will put our name on. So we usually, the later harvest apples and predominantly the wine sap has a higher sugar content, creates higher sugar bricks, and the brandy is, top quality brandy. So we'll put aside usually November distillations for the 7.5 and our 12-year-old.
Really cool, really cool. Little piece of lore that I'm sure you know, that in case watchers who are not watching this, because cider was so important leading up with the founding of our country, and people enjoyed apples and apple brandies, Applejack. The term "an apple a day keeps the doctor away" was started by the temperance movement. Do you know this? That it was the temperance movement that actually started that, so people would eat apples as opposed to making alcoholic products. So ever since I learned that, whenever someone offers me an apple, I always say, no, I'm just going to drink mine later.
Nope.
And I've really had become at odds with the entire apple sharing game that exists out there. So pretty cool. And then
it's kind of funny also. The Applejack was used as payment to teachers as well. There is it's the mid-1800s. There I don't have it in front of me, but a diary entry where a gentleman gave the teacher a half a barrel of his Applejack to pay for his children's schooling. Wow,
that's yeah.
Now that's the apple a day you want, not the fruit, not this. You want the apple brandy.
Apple. Yeah. Like, I come from a family of educators. They've been getting it all wrong. Where was our brandy? You gotta be kidding me. So with this product here is the single cask selection that's coming in at a very high proof.
Yes.
This bottle I have here is 62% alcohol by volume, I believe. Something like
I got you beat. This one's 65.
Oh, yeah. Okay. steal your face right off your head. That's amazing.
Yeah.
But so that decision to make this product, I love cask strength. I love barrel releases. I always love whenever the distillers are thinking, okay, this is a pretty special barrel. Let's just go ahead and bottle this up as it is.
Mm-hmm.
How does that decision come about for your brandy? Is it with fruit selection at the beginning, or is it a barrel selection process after you've made the spirit?
It's a barrel selection after we've produced the spirit. For years we had customers ask us if, we sold barrels, if they could do a barrel selection. And we just did not have enough brandy.
Yeah.
You think you have to really plan in advance. You have to lay down enough brandy for years ahead. And, when we were in, I guess, the 1980s, early 90s, brown spirits were not very popular. So we had put down quite a bit of brandy, and we stopped distilling for a while. So once everything started coming along again and sales really took off, especially the bartending community really took a liking to the bottled and bond, which uses a lot of our brandy.
Yeah.
So we didn't have, we kind of got cut short for 4 years. Actually, 2014 to 2018, we took bottled and bond off the label because we could not fulfill the 4 requirements to be a bottled and bond. And that being, we could not guarantee it was all distilled from one season and all 4 years old. So now that we have enough brandy, we really ramped up our production, and we have enough brandy to offer this. So we decided, all right, we'll start offering to some of our consumers and customers, and actually it's become quite popular. It's a lot of fun that we have 3 different levels where we have a standard 121 proof that you can just order cases. We also, where we can send you samples, and the retailer or a whiskey club can choose, or they can come here and have the full experience and taste the different barrels in our aging warehouse.
Nice. So you age in New Jersey and you distill in Virginia. So can you talk about the climate in New Jersey, maybe versus Virginia, and talk a little bit about that barrel program and what makes it all work?
Yeah, well, sure. Well, actually, we have 2 aging warehouses. We have one in Virginia and one in New Jersey. The brandy stays in Virginia for maybe about 2 years,
Okay.
And then we bring it up to our New Jersey location here in Scobeyville. Make more room for new brandy coming in and new brandy that we're laying down. But the weather here, we have very cold winters and then very hot and humid summers. So there's a lot of interaction with the wood. The brandy with the wood, you're having the contraction and the expansion of the wood. So you're really getting a lot of reaction with the wood that's creating and pulling out the wood characteristics and flavors and some of the coloring. So it's a good area for aging. Because of that, you're getting a lot of play back and forth. Unfortunately, with the hot and humid summers, we get a lot of loss in angel share. So that's a downfall when it comes to something like our 12-year-old, where we can have up to 40 to 50% loss when we open that barrel. But it does help mellow and create that wonderful caramelized apple wood flavors and spice that we get in our aged brandies.
Nice. It's it's working for me. And it's worked every single time I've had it. That's really, really something. Do you know what percentage of angel share y'all lose in a year?
I think it's 3%.
Wow.
3 to 4%. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a.
But I have to double. That's not 100%, but I can get back to you on that. But I'm pretty sure that's about the average.
Wow, that's yeah. And then you think about just how many apples to begin with and everything. Yeah, this really.
It's a very expensive product to produce because we cannot top off our barrels. Once we close, put that bung in the barrel, we cannot touch it.
Right.
And it can only be 100% apples. We cannot add anything to it.
Right. That's just the process is incredible, and what a unique product as well. I mean, this is really just. I'm such a fan. So I'm sitting here enjoying myself drinking. You're doing all the hard work. I'm just asking you questions. So let's say that you want to relax at the end of the day. Can you tell us about any favorite cocktails or a signature cocktail, or how people can use this product, foods to pair with it, anything along those lines?
Well, probably I would say the signature cocktail is the Jack Rose, which I happen to have one right here, which I made, and I'm going to take a little sip right now. I'm not going to let you do all the drinking.
All right, fair enough. And so the Jack Rose is Applejack. It's lime juice and a little bit of grenadine, if I'm not mistaken.
Pomegranate grenadine. And there's back and forth between if it's lemon juice or lime juice. There's different recipes throughout history. I prefer it with lemon versus lime. That's just my preference. But there's a lot, and I find, you know, a lot of bartenders will do it like a half and half, split base of the lemon and lime.
Oh, wow.
And that's beautiful as well. It really, because lime to me can be a little too acidic.
Oh,
I
completely.
I can't drink as many of them if it's lime.
Sure. No,
but
lemons are also more consistent, I find these days.
mm-hmm.
Just
Yes.
never really can go wrong with a lemon.
Mm-hmm.
Big fan of a Jack Rose.
Yes.
I've been drinking those for a while. I first heard about that in maybe 2010 is the first time I heard about a Jack Rose from my friend John Mayfield. He said it's a really good drink with Applejack. You're wondering what to use with your Applejack with, and I thought, oh. So yeah, any other items that come to mind?
Yeah, that's probably the most well-known and the most historical. But you know, if you go prior, pre-prohibition, post-prohibition, there were many Applejack cocktails, going all the way back to Jerry Lewis with the White Tiger's Milk and the Hot Apple Toddy. I'm sure many people have heard of the Pink Lady. There's the Widow's Kiss, the Star Cocktail, which is basically a Manhattan made with the Applejack Rabbit, which is with orange juice, lemon juice, and maple syrup.
Wow.
The Hawaiian Room, which was like a tiki style drink that, if you remember the Hotel Lexington in New York City, they had a Hawaiian Room themed bar, and that was their cocktail, their featured cocktail. The Diamondback was from the Diamondback Lounge, Lord Baltimore Hotel. That was from the mid-50s. And it was actually Diamondback. Everybody thinks of a snake or a rattlesnake, and it's actually the terrapin, the turtle. That's what it's named after, that are pretty popular in the state of Maryland.
Yeah.
You know, the Widow's Kiss, that's from the late 1800s, which is a delightful drink. Apple Blow Fizz, which I love this drink. It's you know, you have the Ramos Fizz. It's very similar. It's just the Applejack, the simple syrup, lemon, and you really shake it up with the egg white first without any ice, and then you shake it up with one ice cube.
Oh.
Pour it in because it helps really froth it up, because if you use too much ice, it's going to flatten the drink. And then once you pour it in like a nice highball glass and you top it with the seltzer, and it just comes up, it's absolutely refreshing.
Oh, wow.
It's too easy to drink. It goes down too easy. But that's you know, another drink that's actually from the 1930s. So there's so many historical cocktails, and that's one of the reasons why we see the renewed popularity of the product with the bartending community, because as they're looking at these classic cocktails, they want the actual ingredient that was, you know, that these cocktails were actually created with. Today, if you look at more, you know, the old fashions, also another historical one. Old fashions were, you know, made with brandy, and new,
excuse me,
you know, bartenders. That's okay.
I'm allergic to not Jack Rose right now.
Okay, good for you. But actually, and I have an Applejack Old Fashioned too. That's pretty much one of my favorite cocktails. But there's the American Trilogy that was created at Little Branch by Richard Boccato and Michael McGilroy, which is like an old-fashioned style drink. It's with rye, it was with our Bottled and Bond, Laird's Bottled and Bond, and bitters. And then there's the Golden Delicious. That's another new, more recent cocktail that was created with it by Jim Kearns. And that was using our 7.5 actually, and it's with honey and lemon juice. Really, really refreshing. But any whiskey cocktail you can take and substitute Applejack with, and you are going to find the unique flavor that's added to that product
Yeah.
and that cocktail, and it's absolutely delightful. Like an Applejack sour is, it's scrumptious. I don't know. It's delicious. It's so good. And, and if you look, we didn't talk about our Jersey Lightning, but this is our unaged, and it's almost, I guess I could say, similar to like an agricole rum. It's got a lot of those characteristics, a little bit funky. But if you substitute this for any rum, gin, cocktail, it's delightful. And I just, I'll drink, now that it's a little bit warmer, I'll just take, I guess make pretty much an Applejack Ricky. I'll, use the apple brandy, my Applejack, put some lime juice in, fresh lime, and add some seltzer. And it's nice and refreshing, and I can drink a lot of them because it's not so high proof. So it'll last a little bit. I can last a little bit longer drinking those versus an old fashioned.
I tell you, for the summertime, crushed ice, soda water, Applejack, squeeze of lemon or lime. I mean, that's just, it's a nice tall drink. It's great on a hot day. It looks rather civilized because it's got a fruit garnish and it's not like some wacky color. So I can drink those without people freaking out. But yeah, it's just that fruit element, but the richness of oak aging. You get kind of like everything whiskey drinkers love, but it's also a sweetness, a fruitiness that is just really, really just absolutely splendid. So,
and it plays nicely with the lime, and it's low-cal too, which is perfect for us ladies. This time of year we're putting on our bathing suits. We gotta drink some low-cal cocktails.
I know. I'm coming out of pandemic body. I need to make sure I'm not,
Yeah, we all are.
on there too crazy. Only egg whites only for my apple fizz, right? So I'll do it that way. What in terms of food pairing with these brandies though, are there any favorite snacks y'all like to have around the distillery, or any family favorites for we're drinking Applejack tonight? What goes on the table?
Well, you're probably asking the wrong person, because I drink Applejack with everything.
Okay.
And I put it in most of the stuff I'm cooking as well. I don't cook as much as my husband would say. She doesn't really cook much anymore. But when I do cook, especially Thanksgiving, my apple brandy goes in everything.
Cool.
But even my applesauce, I have great applesauce recipe with the apple brandy. It's delicious. But, when you think about it, apples, you're thinking desserts. So obviously it pairs wonderfully with desserts, and anything with, those spices, those fall type spices, cinnamon, cloves, cardamom, allspice, star anise, and so forth. It marries beautifully. Ginger, can't forget ginger. It goes great with ginger. So any type of dessert, any like rich, it goes great with chocolate. Chocolate, especially like a chocolate mousse. But for main courses, any type of game, like duck, venison, any chicken, turkey, pork goes wonderfully with pork as well. And even, it goes, as I said, the fall flavors, there's a lot of cocktails with the Applejack and the maple syrup. Brunch. It's perfect with your waffles and your pancakes. Just have a little apple brandy with your maple syrup.
I'm going to have to give a shout out real quick. I was in Boston a couple of summers ago. 2019, and this restaurant right in Cambridge Square had brunch cocktails, and the brunch cocktails were mirrored after breakfast cereals, and one of them was an Applejacks featuring Applejack and
Applejacks, okay.
And those were heavenly. I mean, you can't have your cake and eat it too sometimes, right? So
yes, absolutely.
I can't eat cereal and have the pancakes, but I can have Apple Jacks, and then I can have my pancake with the maple syrup. So yeah, it's a really, really wonderful product for so many uses. Are there
It's so versatile, and in our brandies, like the 7.5, 12-year-old, and even the single cask, with a nice cigar after a meal, it's perfect. But we do have a cookbook. You can go to our website and order our cookbook, and it has wonderful food recipes and cocktails as well, and has a lot of historical anecdotes about the product and the family as well. So
neat. In terms of products, I mean, you're talking about these releases and other items, the Jersey Lightning. Do you have anything that is in the works right now, or maybe upcoming products you can talk about, or is it kind of as y'all make decisions?
Well, Currently, we're experimenting with various barrel finishing. We're looking at moving along in that avenue, and also taking our different types of spirits and aging them, finishing them in our apple brandy barrel. So we're kind of experimenting with that right now. And also, come September, we will be introducing our Laird's old-fashioned cocktail. Will be coming out for the fall. Yes, pre-made cocktail.
Right.
All you have to do is add ice.
In a can?
And a little garnish.
Or
it'll be in a bottle. It'll be in a bottle.
Cool.
Yes. I'm looking forward to that. Very excited.
September release, you said?
September, yes.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very cool. That's exciting.
I'm sure Earl will be hitting you up soon.
Oh, I'm sure he will. I'm okay with that. Earl's a dear, dear old friend. One of my favorite people. So
he's a good guy.
Yeah, he really is. He really is. Now, he told me to.
We love having him part of our family, for sure.
Yeah. No, I totally get that, and he always tells me to say nice things about him, but sometimes I actually mean it. So I really. Your family history, and you're talking about in the cookbook and everything else. What's a piece of family lore that you always think is like this is cool, like something that you really love to hang your hat on?
There are a lot of, with over close to 300 years history, obviously there's a lot of cool stories. But I have to say probably good old George Washington, having the association with him, when he was a general in the Revolutionary War. My four-greats-grandfather, Robert Laird, was a Revolutionary War dragoon under his command, along with his brother Richard. So they fought alongside George Washington. We supplied the troops with Applejack, of course. I always say that's what got them across the Delaware that cold Christmas Eve when they surprised the British.
Right.
And, and what's really a cool little antidote is, obviously as he traveled around the states and having battles, he did not know the local terrain. So his local guide here in Monmouth County was a Laird. It was actually Moses Laird. It was Robert's uncle. So that's, it's pretty cool that, we actually have an association with him. And when he started producing apple spirits and cider spirits at Mount Vernon, he reached out to Robert asking what our process was and so forth. That's probably the coolest. And then Abraham Lincoln actually serving it in his tavern. So they're probably the two highlights.
You named Robert Yeah, that's pretty cool. I actually told my daughter last night when I was showing her some of these products, I'm like, this family has been distilling forever, and they supplied George Washington and his troops with spirits during the Revolutionary War. And she's like, well, okay, that's kind of cool. And there are very, very few times in my life that my 16-year-old daughter says, oh, anything you're doing is interesting at all. So for those points to be earned, I was pretty happy about that. So really, really cool. And
when my son did a report in third grade on George Washington, I was like, we have to put this in, and you have to put this in about George Washington and the family. And teacher's like, well, you can't be doing that. I'm like, all right, well, but it's true. Like, it was kind of cool being able to share, these stories with my children as they were learning about George Washington in school.
Yeah, a friend of mine who is a winemaker said that he was helping his son with a lab paper, and he said, well, we can talk about my wine, the way we... And then he realized, I probably should not have that for your, sixth grade, chemistry paper or whatever. So pretty cool. So is there anything that you would like to share that we did not touch on today? Any words of advice for the drinking world for 2021 for, the universes we open up again? I mean, it's your first IG Live and all, so just want to make sure you experience.
Well, I would be remiss if I didn't say drink responsibly. That's always important. That's what's wonderful about Uber and Lyft today. But, as I had said earlier, it's such a historical product, and there's a lot of family pride. We are a small family business. We're not one of the big guys. We don't have a lot of advertising material, and we don't have the budget for that. Our priority is to make the best quality apple brandy and Applejack that we can. And sometimes, that's going to cost a little bit more money than making spirits out of grain. You know, the amount of product or raw material and the quantity of raw material makes it a much more expensive product to produce. But as you're trying a cocktail and you see Applejack, you know, you'll see an Applejack cocktail on the menu, give it a shot. Or, you know, if you like a Manhattan or you like an old fashioned, you know, substitute, here's my old fashioned right here. You know, make it with our Laird's Applejack and you'll be pleasantly surprised. It makes a delightful cocktail. And you can cook with it too, just like I do when I cooked.
So
Put it in everything.
Tell us your old-fashioned recipe for those watching this. If they're thinking afterwards that inspiration hits and they want an old-fashioned, how do you make your old-fashioned?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll use simple syrup, and I'll use about a half an ounce of simple syrup. Then I'll put 2 ounces of my apple brandy. Now you can use any of our expressions. Predominantly, I'll probably use my 86 or my Bottle and Bond or my 10th Gen for this drink. Some Angostura bitters, and I'll add a little bit of orange bitters as well. Usually I use Gary Reagan's. And then stir it up, and you have a beautiful cocktail.
Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. Well, this has been great, and I cannot say how fortunate we are to be able to represent your family and all of your products here in Georgia, and to be able to talk with you today. I don't mean to fanboy too much, but this is one of my favorite products, and what a beautifully distilled spirit, and what a cool family, and your passion just comes right through. Absolutely fantastic.
Well, thank you. I truly appreciate how much you appreciate our product and love our product, and you know the fact that we've been able to continue producing this, and it's still a family-owned company and brand. And you know, I'm happy that you can see my passion, because I am very passionate about this product and my history, and that I've been able to pass that passion on to the 10th generation, and hopefully we can continue this on for the next generations to come, and keep this heritage and legacy going. And I hope soon, now that things are opening up, that I can come visit everybody down in Georgia and talk some more about my my apple brandy products. I'd love to.
We would love to have that. We would love to have that. Anytime you want to come on down, just give us a call. We will roll out the red carpet. Or at least
I'm sure Earl will probably be calling you tomorrow. When are we coming down?
It's great. Earl and I, here's one of my favorite Earl stories. He and I went to California to go work at Crush at a winery, and he and I both went to California for a week without a single business card on either of us. And we realized, wow, we look like the biggest bunch of bozos ever. We roll into a winery like, yeah, we represent you here, and we're like, I guess we're pretty good salespeople if we're able to convince them that we work at their distributor, because they didn't know us from Adam. But what a great guy. Love him so much. Well, actually, one last thing. What is the most common thing you hear when people do try Applejack for the first time? People who aren't experienced with the product, who you're at an event, you got to pour someone maybe the bottled in bond 100 proof, or even just the premier bottling. What is their reaction?
Usually they're very pleasantly surprised at, the beautiful, complex, robust flavors in the brandies. There's so many consumers that are not familiar with brandy. Unfortunately, for many years we had the flavored brandies, which is not brandy. It's one of my pet peeves. That it can be called brandy because it's basically flavors and sugar and water and some neutral grain that's making that product. So there's so much education and trying to teach people exactly what this product is, and you're going to get the fruit flavor that is going to come through, and they're just like, wow, this, especially if they're a whiskey drinker, they appreciate it because of they're used to drinking brown spirits, and they find it very delightful. And, depending on whatever expression, the younger ones, they're going to explode with, more of a cooked fruit, lighter fruit flavor, until, more of a balanced, caramelized, buttery apple and spice, depending on the age of the product. So there's, they're like, wow, this is really good. So it's always a positive, very positive response. And I love being able to introduce people to the product.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're the one to do it. That's the coolest. Well, Lisa, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for this opportunity to talk about your family's history, what y'all produce. It's absolutely fantastic. I wish everyone watching this were sitting around with us drinking right now, or I guess I wish I were in the same room with you drinking right now. But that day will come, right? So
we'll do that soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day and enjoy your old fashioned, your Jack Rose, and we'll catch up with you next time. Thank
you. I appreciate you having me on, and everybody, cheers.
Cheers, everybody. Thank you so much. Really means a lot to us. Thank you. Cheers.
All right, take care. Have a wonderful day.
You too. Bye.
Bye-bye.